everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be starting very shortly. We're just going to give people a couple more minutes to join. Thank you very much. We'll be back in a moment. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Uris, a physical therapist and regional director at Spear Physical and Occupational Therapy. I'd like to welcome back those of you who have attended one of our other webinars in the past, as well as welcome those who are joining for the first time. We appreciate all of you taking time out of your busy day to learn with us. For those of you who don't know who we are, Spear is a private outpatient practice that's been around for over 20 years, with currently 20 locations located all over the New York City area. We've successfully continued to offer in-person care through the COVID pandemic, as well as launched Spear Live for those of you looking to stay home and receive care using our telehealth platform from the comfort of your own home. In our clinics, we are strategically going above and beyond the CDC guidelines to ensure the safety and well-being of everybody. You can find more detailed information on those safety measures at our website at spearcenter.com. We're here for you in whichever way makes you feel most comfortable. If you're looking for individualized care, either in the clinic or through telehealth, please reach out to us at your convenience and we'll get you set up for an appointment right away. Since the pandemic began, we received many questions from our older adult population about how to increase and maintain their strength and balance while spending more time at home. We'll be discussing this in depth today, and we're excited to be able to offer more advice and education on this topic, as well as answer some of your questions at the end. As part of our session today, we're going to be talking through and demonstrating some exercises. And we welcome you to follow along and practice with us as you feel comfortable. Please note that if you experience any pain while performing any of these, or you feel unsteady or unsafe at any time, please stop doing them and reach out to us directly so we can support you. As you can see, we're coming to you live from our own homes. And although we don't anticipate any technical issues today, please be patient with us should any arise as we navigate working through the technology. So throughout the webinar, we want to hear from you. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know your thoughts in the Q&A feature. To find this feature, you want to scroll your mouse down to the bottom of your screen, and you're going to see the Q&A option pop up. This is where you're going to put your questions or thoughts as we go through the webinar, and we're going to do our best to address them as best as we can throughout. It's best to put your questions in the Q&A versus the chat feature because we're more likely monitoring the Q&A more closely. We don't want to miss anything. For those of you who are watching through YouTube Live, we're monitoring the comment section there as well, so please feel free to type your questions in. Lastly, there's going to be multiple times where multiple panelists are on the screen at the same time. For the best viewing experience, please select Gallery View at the top right corner of your Zoom screen so that you can see all of us at the same time versus one at a time. And again, that's at the top right corner of your screen. Okay, so let's talk about our goals for today and what we're going to be covering. So today we're going to discuss the prevalence of falls and the risk factors that lead to reduced balance. We're going to explain why balance and fall prevention are so important, and then demonstrate some strength and balance exercises for you to do at home. We're also going to leave time for questions at the end. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce our team here today. We're going to welcome everybody back on screen now. So our presenters today are Somer Meyers, who is a physical therapist at our Brooklyn Heights clinic. Hey, Somer, how are you?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. One of our other presenters is Becky Insalaco, who's also a physical therapist at our Brooklyn Heights office. Hey, Becky.
Hey, everyone.
And then lastly, we have Nicole Sirach, who is the clinical director at our Brooklyn Heights office, as well as a physical therapist, and she's going to be helping us answer the Q&A section today. Hey, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
All right. So just a reminder again, guys, if you for best viewing experience, you want to be in gallery view so that you can see everyone at the same time. Right now, we're all on the screen, so this is a good time to test it. Again, it's at the top right corner of your screen. And if you've done that, you'll be able to see all of us together. Okay, cool. So Becky, Nicole, and I are going to say goodbye for now. Somer, we're going to let you take it away with some information on falls.
All right. Okay, so thank you, Lisa. As mentioned, one of the main reasons that we're wanting to even host this webinar today is just to highlight the seriousness of falls in the aging community and ultimately ways that we can then prevent it. Since the pandemic, we've noticed a major increase in complaints from a lot of our patients, some of our loved ones, older family members about feeling a little bit more off balance, feeling a little bit more unsteady whenever they're walking, trying to get about their house, and then maybe even just greater trouble with doing daily activities like carrying their groceries, getting from one end of the house to another, going up and down stairs, getting out of their chairs, things that used to be easy but no longer are. We're seeing this as a result of the pandemic, actually, where people have been a lot more sedentary with the lockdown. People have not been able to adhere to their normal routines, their normal exercise program, and just general walking around and moving about. So it's definitely very, very important now more than ever that we discuss strength and balance and things that we can do about it, ways that we can train it and make sure that, hey, if you haven't had a fall yet, that we keep it that way and that we keep you steady and we keep you safe. I first want to discuss some different facts that have been taken directly from the CDC's website. So there are 30 million falls every single year. 1 in 4 of these falls are older adults. And just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, the older adult is defined as someone that is over the age of 65. Out of all of these falls, 1 in 5 are seriously injured. These serious injuries are going to be things like muscle tears, broken bones, and even traumatic brain injuries. There are 3 million visits to the ER every single year from fall-related causes. If you do some of the calculations, some of the math in your head, you can definitely figure out that that is really, really expensive for everyone, for the healthcare system especially. And in terms of mortality, 30,000 adults die every single year from fall-related causes. The CDC even predicts that this is about 1 fall every 7, or this is 1 death from a fall-related cause every 17 minutes. So that is clearly a lot and a really, really big deal, and something that, you know, we just really want to highlight that this is a serious issue for everyone as they age. Some of the greatest risk factors for falls are going to be medication side effects. Most commonly, things like antidepressants and sometimes even pain medication as well. So if you're taking a lot of medications and feel like you've been off balance, definitely speak to your doctor about that. Other risk factors include vitamin D deficiency, muscle weakness, impairments in cognition, and even just hazards in the home. This can be things like loose rugs, it can be wires that you might trip over, boxes that are in the way. So make sure that you're doing an evaluation of your home and find the things that might be tripping hazards before it's the middle of the night and you accidentally trip over it. And same goes for your family and your loved ones. Be sure that you're scanning their home, looking out for them. So I know that I just mentioned a lot of kind of scary facts here and a little bit of the dark reality, but it is important that we all recognize it and realize it. I'm going to invite Becky onto the screen now, and she's going to send a little bit of a brighter message and tell us some things that we can do just to help prevent falls and what we can actually do about it. Hey, Becky.
Hey, Somer, thank you. That was really informative. I just want to talk about some key points on balance and strengthening. So the research shows that improvements in muscle strength, walking, and balance exercises all help with fall prevention. So as people age, the risk of falls increase because decreased muscle mass, which leads to decreased function. maybe not walking as much or exercising as much. So some normal age-related balance deficits may occur because of increased postural sway caused by that leg weakness. So you can definitely see that in normal daily activities, like if you're doing the dishes or if you're reaching high in a cabinet, you might have a little bit harder time keeping balance and need the counter for support. However, there are some things we can do about this. The research shows that we can make a difference through strengthening and balance exercises that can lead to decreased falls. So Summer and I will take you through some balance and strength exercises later today. But first, I want to highlight that although we're talking about the older adult who is 65 and up, age does not equal weakness. And I know some of you may be thinking about a friend or a loved one who is in this category. Any runners out there, any yogi masters, any swimmers. So I want to highlight a couple examples of how age does not equal weakness. So the first person you see there, that's Daniela Barna, who is 73. And in 2017, in the United States Masters Swimming Spring Nationals, she won 3 gold medals in the 70 to 74-year-old age group for the 100-yard and 200-yard breaststroke finals and the 200-yard individual medley finals. Wow. And then the second picture you see there, that's Julia Hawkins. And in 2017, at the age of 101, she set the world record for her age group in the 100-meter dash at the USA Track and Field Outdoor Masters Championship, where she completed the run in a blazing 40.12 seconds. That's pretty incredible. So these women are great examples of how age does not equal weakness. And although they may have some genetic predispositions to set them up for success, the main reason they could do this is because they are training, they're moving, and they are exercising regularly. So it may not be realistic that everybody become Olympic medalists, but it is important to stay active, moving, and working on your strength and balance regularly. So that may be even seen with walking, carrying your groceries, some household tasks like cooking, cleaning, or even playing with your grandchildren. So before we get into the exercises, Summer and I want to go over some safety tips. So I'm going to welcome Summer back on the screen before we go into the exercises. Hey, Summer.
Hey, Becky. Those were amazing stories. I'm going to start training now so that I can be a track star whenever I'm 100 years old. Like Becky said, we do want to get started just with our general safety talk. As physical therapists, our number one concern is always our patient's safety. So with these exercises, we definitely want you on your feet. We want you doing them with us and participating to the best of your ability. If there's ever an exercise that you feel slightly unsure about, don't know if you have the balance for it or the strength for it, please sit this one out. Reach out to us directly, talk to your doctor, talk to your physical therapist or someone just to make sure that you are absolutely safe first and foremost.
And then too, another thing I wanted to mention, if you are ever in doubt or you're starting to feel unsteady, go ahead and stand by a stable surface, something you can hold on to and use your hands if you need some extra support. So before we get into the exercises, I'm sure everybody's wondering about how frequently should you be exercising. So we're going to go ahead and put a poll up. How frequently should I be exercising? A, walking is all I should be doing for exercise. B, once a week for 30 minutes. C, twice a week for 30 to 40 minutes. Or D, 3 or more times a week for 30 plus minutes. So go ahead and submit your answer there.
Great. So we're really just wanting to see where everyone is at with this, see if we can bust some myths and just let you know about what the research says and how much you should be exercising, how much you should be on your feet and up moving around every single week.
So it looks like everybody did a good job answering there. The correct answer is D, 3 or more times a week. So most successful studies prescribe exercise for 3 or more times a week. And some of them even showed that lack of improvement could have been due to too few exercises a week. So exercise could be 30 minutes of moderate exercise, which could be like walking the dog, standing, cooking, cleaning, doing Tai Chi exercises, yoga, or even some of the exercises we will show you later today. And the other main thing I wanted to note was take a rest break if you need it. If you're feeling short of breath, anything like that, go ahead and take a little rest. And then The benefits of exercise last for as long as you are doing them. Main point there. So go ahead, I'm gonna throw it over to Summer, who's gonna do some of the strengthening exercises now.
All right, so the exercises that we're going to show you are definitely ones that you can include in your weekly exercise sessions. So Becky here is going to demonstrate the exercises for us, and I want everyone at home to get up on your feet for me, shake out your legs, and get ready to move. The first exercise Becky is going to demonstrate for us is called just a sit to stand. So it's just like it sounds. You're just going to sit down and stand back up. Notice how she used her hands on that repetition there. She's placing her hands on the armrest there to help her up. If you don't have a chair with armrests, you can always just put your hands in your lap as you're doing it to also give you some assistance. One of the reasons we like our patients to do this one, or anyone that we're working on this functional strength and balance with, is that you do this every single day, countless amounts of times. Anytime you're getting out of a chair, anytime you're getting up and down from the couch, off the subway seat, in and out of a car, you name it, you're going to be doing this motion. If you want to make it more challenging, like Becky's doing, arms across the chest, arms straight out in front, you could even grab something that is weighted or speeded up. A lot of different variations with this exercise. Again, meet your body where it is at. You don't have to be an overachiever today, but just make sure that you are safe with this exercise. How are you feeling, Becky?
Ooh, feel the burn in my legs, Summer.
Feeling the burn, feeling the burn. So it's important that you do a lot more repetitions versus just doing one or two, because we want to make sure that we are overtraining your muscles and overtraining this movement. Everyone can get in and out of a chair and can get up and down from the couch up until the moment when they just quit doing it over and over again. And that's when you're going to start seeing weakness in these muscles. Really, we just want to make sure that you don't ever get stuck on your toilet and you're having to call someone in to come in and help you. All right, Becky, go ahead and shake it out here. Shake it out. All right, I'm sure her legs are on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Becky is going to go ahead and set up for the next exercise here. That is just called a deadlift. Essentially, it's just placing something on the ground and picking it back up. Here we can see that her back is nice and straight. She's bending with her legs, sticking her hips back. And if you are having trouble with this exercise at home, or maybe you don't have a weight close by, you can just use it with your hands and just mark the action, especially if you don't feel like you have the strength to do this exercise over and over again. You can do this with anything around the home. Becky here is just using some laundry detergent. You could use a laundry basket, some cat food, a water bottle. She's even using just a tissue box right here. And so with all of the exercises that I've given you, again, you want to meet your body where it is at. Typically, the dosage that we give our patients is about 3 sets of 10, and that is going to be sure to be the target range that we need for the strength improvements. How are you feeling, Becky?
Definitely felt it in the back in my glutes.
Definitely. And so Becky, I want you real quick to show me one repetition here where you might have your arms out a little bit further in front of your body. All right, so this is an example of what we do not want this exercise to look like. See how it's now going to shift her weight really far forward, make her feel like she might fall over here. And it's also going to probably put a little bit more strain on your back, right, Becky?
Yeah, definitely adds a little bit more pressure in the back area.
Definitely. And so we just want to keep it close to your body here. The closer it is to your body, the easier it's going to be ultimately, the more you're going to be engaging your core and engaging your legs, just like you need. All right. So go ahead and shake it out, shake it out. All right, the last one here is just called a weighted carry, and it's exactly like it sounds. So Becky is going to hold the weight, or the laundry detergent in this case, at her side and walk around. If I were having you in the clinic, or if I were in your home assisting you here, I would have you take something that was about a moderate weight, so not something that was so heavy you feel like you're going to drop it on the ground, but something that you at least know you can carry for a few minutes. So I would have you carrying it for about 3 to 5 minutes in the clinic. And we're going to start with it just at your side. If that's too easy, you're going to pick it up kind of like Becky's doing, holding it here. And then from there, she might even, she's got to lift her screen here, put it up by her shoulder here. So this is just going to make her engage her shoulder muscles even more and engage her core. The reason that we do this exercise is because we are carrying things every single day. Whenever you're in the grocery store and you're carrying around your grocery bag, reaching into shelves, whenever you're carrying your laundry basket from one side of the house to another, carrying maybe a heavy pot and putting it away, it's really, really important that you maintain the strength and the endurance it takes to carry some objects. It's going to engage your core. It's even going to challenge your balance a little bit here. And so it's just getting a lot with one exercise. See how she's even reaching, making it a little bit more challenging for her. All right, Becky, go ahead and set that down. Shake it out, shake it out. All right, how are you feeling?
Oh yeah, I definitely felt that last one in my arms.
Definitely. All right, thank you, Becky, for demonstrating. I'm now going to pass it over to her, and she is going to take us through the balance segment today.
All right. Thank you, Somer. That was really informative. Now I'm going to be having Somer do the exercises here. So I want to start with some static balance exercises. So the first one that Somer is going to be doing is she's going to put her feet close together. There we go. Yep. And then just like her hands on her hips to start. Good. And then typically holding like for 30 seconds. And then just keeping your balance. You could feel that bringing your feet in kind of challenges your balance a little bit more than having them spread apart. But if this is feeling kind of easy for you, another thing you could do is kind of shift your arms and moving them back and forth. That's going to challenge the balance a little bit more too. So that's kind of what you would do if you're like reaching at the counter or anything like that. You're really challenging your balance and your core with that as well. Other things you could do to make it more challenging is if you stand on like a pillow or on like a piece of foam. Somer's going to put the foam there too. Same thing, holding for like 30 seconds. And if it's pretty easy for you too, you can add in those arm movements that she did last time. Very good.
Definitely
Other things
harder.
Yeah, you feeling it a little bit harder on the pillow or foam?
Yeah, definitely. I feel my hips shaking a little more.
Yeah, definitely. You're working on ankle and hip and knee strength with this one as well too. The next one I'm going to have you do, Somer, is go ahead and step off the foam there and put one foot in front of the other. There you go. This one's a little bit more challenging than the feet together, but same thing. You want to hold in for like 30 seconds. Awesome. And like I said earlier, you could definitely make it more challenging by moving your arms and reaching like that. Perfect. Another thing you could do to kind of challenge the balance a little bit more is adding different like head positions in. So Somer, go ahead and just look up and down and to side there too. There you go. So this one's really important too, because if you're ever like walking on uneven pavement or like crossing the street, you're challenging your balance while you're looking different directions, making sure there's no bicyclists coming your way. Awesome. Same thing with that one. If it's feeling kind of easy, is it hard with the neck exercises?
Yeah, definitely. My legs are super wobbly. I need to practice this one.
Go ahead and add the foam there, so see if that one makes it even more challenging too.
All right. And again, if you don't have the foam at home, you can always use a pillow or a folded up yoga mat, maybe a folded up blanket.
There we go. Yep, all of that will work. As the main thing we're doing is having kind of like an unsteady surface there that your feet's on. Making the ankles and knees and hips and core all together working to keep your strength. Good. How is it on the foam?
Whew, a lot harder, a lot harder. I'm having to move my head quite slowly.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right, go ahead and take a step down from there. So the next one I'm going to have you do is go ahead and stand on one leg. There you go. Same thing, holding for 30 seconds there. This one may be pretty challenging for people. So if you're feeling unsteady, go ahead and stand by that counter there for support too. Same thing like the other ones, you can add those progressions that I mentioned earlier. But the single leg balance is really important because if you're ever like walking or going to take steps or kind of step up a curb in and out of the tub, you're using that single leg balance check to keep you steady there. How challenging is that one, Summer?
Definitely adding the head turns takes it up a notch. I feel like I might need to hold on.
Yeah, same thing too. If you want to make it more challenging, you could always progress it to adding the foam piece as well.
All right, you might just be trying to embarrass me now.
We're really testing your balance today.
Taking me back to my dancer days.
All right. Very good. Same thing, holding for like 30 seconds there. See how Summer used her toe or even the wall there for support occasionally. Very good. So the next one that we're going to do is some dynamic balance exercises. So go ahead and take a step down. All right. And I'm going to have you go ahead and put something on the ground, Summer, that you can step over or step on.
Use this step here.
Perfect. Okay. This one, you're practicing that single leg balance that we talked about, and you're going to step over it and reach over. There we go. So this one's really important if there's anything in your house that you need to step over, or if you're stepping up onto a curb, any of that, same thing, really working on that single leg balance strength. Definitely a progression from the first one there. Summer, I like how your hands are on your hip. It looks like good form.
Thank you. And you can definitely hear if I were losing my balance, I would hold on to the wall, or there's even the handle here on my step. You can always use that as well. And if you use a walker or if you use a cane, you can always use those as you're doing these exercises too.
Yep. And then the last one I want to mention are some side steps. So go ahead and move that obstacle out of the way. Perfect. And then Summer, I want you to go ahead and take a couple side steps. There you go. This one kind of doubles as a hip strengthener as well. So not only are you challenging your balance, but also your hips when you're going side to side. So this one you could see if you're walking in the grocery store and let's say somebody doesn't have their mask on correctly. So you got to take a couple side steps out of the way. There we go.
Gotta stay safe.
Avoiding it. Perfect. Same thing. You can always add more challenge, like Summer mentioned earlier, by holding on to something that's a little heavy.
Oh, here I have a little dictionary here I could use.
There we
You
go.
Hold it here. Anything around your house that has weight. Here, you can even hold it out in front.
Yep, that will even challenge your balance more because it's getting further from the base of support. So you're moving it further away. Awesome. Nice demonstration, Summer. I'm sure, I really hope you felt your balance being challenged. And
Absolutely.
then take a wrap with some of those exercises today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Becky. I definitely felt my balance challenge there. So lastly here, we just want to thank everyone for joining us today and just come up with our wrap up message here. Ultimately, falls are preventable. The main principle here that you want to think of is you have to continue to move it or you will lose it. It's just like the law of inertia where a body in motion tends to stay in motion. So do these exercises. If you have questions about them, reach out to us directly or just type it in the Q&A. We would love to address that later on.
We just want to thank everybody for joining. We hope you found this very informational. Now we're going to welcome Lisa back and open it back up for the question and answer portion.
Hey guys, thank you so much. That was so great. I learned so much by watching you do the exercises. They looked harder, I think, than I thought they'd be. Your balance is great. Okay, so let's take some questions from the audience, and everybody listening, definitely feel free to throw your questions down into the Q&A if you have any along the way as well. Okay, so the first one we got was, what are some suggestions that you have for maintaining balance while getting in and out of a tub that is higher up? So having to step over a tub. What are some ways that they can make sure that they're safe? And then how can they get better at it? What are some exercises maybe they can do to practice? Great,
I can take this one. I really love this question because that's definitely a concern whenever you're getting in and out of a slippery tub. So I would first of all just make sure that the ground is safe to begin with. Make sure that there's not a slippery bath mat maybe right directly in front of the bathtub. Make sure if you do have a bath, or that any bath mat that you do have is really grippy ultimately, that it's not going to slip out from underneath you and that your foot isn't going to slip on it. Same thing within the bathtub itself, is making sure that the surface of the bathtub has a little bit of grip to it as well. Maybe purchasing one of those grippy bath mats that you can just place in the bathtub itself. And then second, for the actual act of getting in and out of the bathtub itself, a lot of times going sideways is helpful for patients that I've seen. And then making sure that you have something to grab onto. So whether that's getting one of those, I know that they make the ones where it's almost like a suction type of grab bar that you can just place onto your shower wall, having that. And if you have a bath, like a sink close by too, just using handheld supports as you need them. One of the exercises that I really like, and is actually a variation of what we did today, I can stand up and show it for you, where if you just take something small, maybe that's about 4 to 6 inches off the ground, like a small box. Right here, I'm just going to use this step stool here. What I could do is actually step sideways over it, just like that. And then this would help me get my confidence as I'm going up and over anything sideways, whether it's a bathtub or a curb, or just something in the house maybe that you need to kind of go sideways over. If you don't feel comfortable getting into your bathtub sideways, another option would be just to go forward, doing that same exercise that Becky and I practice. Again, emphasis on the safety, emphasis on using your hands as you need them.
That's great. Thank you for demonstrating again, Somer. I really appreciate that. It seems helpful to kind of practice the motion in like a steadier environment than like when you're in that actual environment, then you'll be better at it, right?
Right, absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, one other question. Somebody who has difficulty squatting down and then lifting themselves back up kind of from the floor, from a low squat, what kind of exercises can they do to strengthen their legs so that they can do it more easily and safely? Or what would you suggest they do to practice?
I could take this one. So Somer kind of mentioned a couple exercises like that, and that was especially from the first one. So some modifications that you could do to start is if you start from like a higher surface. So putting like a foam pad or like a pillow on your chair is going to make it a little bit easier for you to stand up because it's adding a higher surface. So when you're doing that, doing a couple practices from the higher surface will definitely help you keep building the strength. As you feel like your legs are starting to get stronger, you can keep taking away like one pillow to keep on strengthening it as well. Some other exercises that you could do to help would be just like a seated march, and that's helping strengthen some of the legs too. So I'll show you that as well. Good. Even with the seated march, doing some of this is working on some of the strength in the upper parts of your legs here, and just kind of warming up the muscles. But the main one that Somer demonstrated earlier was sitting to stand, using the hands for support, and even adding like the box here. I'll show you. Make it a little here, because you're not going down as far, and it makes it a little easier to stand up.
That's great, Becky. So kind of like start small and work your way to being able to squat a little lower.
Yep.
That's great. I love that you guys are re-demonstrating. It's really helpful. A couple questions came up about like sets and reps and how many of each of these should people do. Can you give a little bit more guidance on that in terms of the strengthening and the balance?
Great, so I can start with the strengthening exercises that I went through. Again, you want to meet your body where it is at. Typically, we advise our patients to do about 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. But if you are finding that at the end of all of your sets and all of your reps, you're not really fatigued and you felt fine, you didn't feel really any muscles working, that means it wasn't challenging enough for you. So you can do a couple of things. You could either add more repetitions in until it does get a little bit more fatiguing, about a moderate fatigue level, or you can do something like add a resistance band, or you can add in a heavier weight.
Awesome. And then for the balance exercises, I typically have people doing that 3 sets of 30 seconds. And then if 30 seconds is still a little challenging for you, you could always start at like doing 15 seconds and then keep progressing to trying to hold it, trying to keep steady, keep your balance for longer, trying not to use upper extremity support. That's how you know when it's starting to get easy for you. And then 2 other things you could do, like Somer mentioned, to make it more challenging is you add in different things. So you can add in that foam pad or add in those arm movements. That'll make it more challenging as well. Or you could even do it for a longer period of time. So instead of 30 seconds, try holding for 45 seconds.
Very cool. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. Okay, so a question that came in, somebody wrote that friends tell them that they have balance problems because they have vertigo. What is vertigo? Can you touch on that? I know it's a big topic, but can you touch on that? And then how do they find out if that's the reason why they have balance limitations?
Yeah, I can take this one. Okay, so I actually am a vertigo and vestibular specialist. And so a lot of times people get really confused as to what is dizziness, what is vertigo. And so it can be a very complex answer because it is a complex issue that can be caused by multiple things. Typically, the experience of vertigo itself is whenever you feel like the room around you is spinning, where dizziness maybe just feels like you're a little bit off, maybe it feels like you don't quite have the ground underneath your feet. If you have any concerns or still are not sure into which category you fit into, the best people that you can see is coming into a vestibular specialist, that's a physical therapist, or you definitely want to go get some testing done by an ENT or an audiologist. And I would recommend those that specifically deal with vertigo and specialize in vertigo.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so what are some safety tips that you would recommend in terms of negotiating stairs? And what if one leg is weaker than the other? What would you do? Would you do anything differently?
Yeah, so definitely with negotiating stairs, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're being safe. So whether that is holding onto the hand railing or using like a cane for support, definitely using those to keep your balance with stepping up. As for what you could do to start, usually ascending one stair and having your other foot come up, that is easier than alternating or going reciprocal pattern. So especially with negotiating stairs, if one leg is weaker than the other, what we typically say is up with the good leg and then down with the bad leg. So you're going up with your stronger leg, and then when you're going down the stairs, you're going to lead with the weaker leg. And I think Somer has a little step stool there. She wants to give a little demonstration for it too.
Yeah, definitely. Glad you asked. Okay, let me get it set up here so you can see my legs. Okay, so let's say my right leg was my stronger leg, my left leg was falling behind a little bit. So what I would want to do is holding on to my handrail here, I would then step up with my right leg onto the step. And then to go to the next step, I would do the same exact thing, just lead up with my right leg. And now when stepping down, because we want most of the weight to be in that stronger leg, I'm going to lead now with my left leg or my weaker leg as I step down. That way my stronger leg has all of the support. And again, that's going to be up with the strong leg here. Have the feet come together. And now we're going to lead now with the left strong leg or the weaker leg and weight bearing through the strong leg the entire time.
Thank you, guys. All right, another question that came in was asking about a warm-up. Like, would you recommend like doing a warm-up before any of these exercises? And if so, who should do a warm-up? Should everybody do a warm-up? What does that look like?
Great, I can take this one. So definitely would recommend a warm-up. You don't want the first thing that you do the second you get out of bed, start doing deadlifts and squats. That might be a little bit difficult. You might feel tight. You might still be waking up and feeling off balance. Same thing if maybe you've been at your computer, whether you've been working or if you've been sitting on your couch watching TV, whatever it may be. You don't necessarily want to go straight from couch to now we're doing exercise. A warm-up can be something as simple as a bike ride or a stationary bike. It can be doing a brisk walk, maybe either just around your home, apartment, the yard, wherever it may be, just for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you have any particular stretches that you like, you can do those. But with the exercises that we did today, I would just suggest about a 5 to 10 minute warm up. Make sure that the blood is pumping, you're not feeling super stiff and creaky, and then you should be good just to jump right in.
That's awesome. Very cool. Okay. Very helpful. So here's another question, which I thought was a really good one, and maybe you guys can give some good advice. If you trip and are falling forward, what would you say is the best way to fall so that you do the least amount of damage? Like, do you recommend putting your hands out? I know it's hard because you could fall in a lot of different ways, but I guess what are your general suggestions?
So yeah, typically when you're falling, you want to like make sure that like, or if you're starting to feel unsteady, usually a lot of time what people will do, try and like squat down and try and get, you know, a little bit better support, because you feel a little bit more stable when your body is kind of all bent up a little bit. I'll show you like what that looks like in just a second. Another thing you could do to try and help catch your balance is like taking like a step forward or like reaching out to the wall or onto something that could help. So typically whenever you fall too, you want to just be like kind of careful when you're falling. And I would, especially if you're trying to catch it, you can use your arms a lot too. But yeah, definitely try and use these two kind of key facts to kind of prevent a fall. And especially if you're doing the balance exercises too, it'll help kind of strengthen the muscles around it as well. I'll go over just two of those examples. Okay. So the first one, if you're starting to feel a fall and you just kind of like bring it down a little bit, that's going to make you feel just like a tad bit more steady. And then the other one that you could do is if you're taking a step and then have like something to reach on as well. Keep your balance. Widening that base of support.
Thanks, Becky. I appreciate it. You guys are so great with the demonstrations. I love it. It's so great. Okay. I guess a quick question that came in. Is there a time of day that's better for these exercises that you'd recommend for somebody?
I love this question because the answer is it depends. It depends on you and the individual. I would definitely recommend whatever point of day you have the highest amount of energy. You don't want to do this whenever you are feeling sleepy and lethargic and you're not ultimately feeling your best, because then you probably just are not going to want to do them and you are not going to be able to perform them to your greatest capacity. So if that means you are a morning person and you want to start your day off on a good foot, then I would say do them in the morning. If maybe it takes you a few hours to wake up and you're more of an afternoon person, then do them in the afternoon. Ultimately, whenever it feels best for you, is going to be the best time to do them.
Cool. And then I guess on that note, how long should their workout be? I mean, if they did all of these things, it would take some time. How many minutes a day, I guess, would you expect somebody to do exercises, and how many times a day should they do these?
Yeah, you could do it. Do you want to take it, Becky?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so typically like 30-minute sessions, and you could always like take a little rest breaks in between, and then you could always, as you're constantly getting stronger from doing the exercises every day, you could keep bumping it up to maybe doing it twice a day, or even doing it for a longer period of time. So like instead of 30 minutes, 45 minutes once you're starting to feel a little stronger.
Very cool. Somebody asked if you could demonstrate getting up safely from the floor, what that would look like.
Yeah, okay, I can do this one. And so again, this is going to look a little bit different for everyone. Let me just get set up here. All right, so I'm going to use this foam pad here to protect my knees. And this is definitely something, again, that you should practice at home. And when you do, I would use the foam pad, a pillow, something soft and cushiony to help protect your knees. But for my patients, whenever I have them getting down onto the floor, I'll have them hold on to a wall or maybe a chair. And I'll usually have them actually start into a lunge position here. And maybe that looks like kind of putting their hands here on their knees as they lean forward. Sometimes people's instinct is to kind of lean forward and then drop their hands down. And you can see how that could actually, if your arms aren't there to catch you, that could just lead to you falling there. So definitely using furniture, using a wall, using your hand here on your knee as you get down. And then let's say if you were in the seated position here and now you're wanting to get up, you're just going to do the exact same thing in reverse. So what you'll do is you'll kind of come around, get into that lunge position, holding on to either your knee, grabbing a chair, grabbing a wall, some sort of surface, again, making sure that you're safe to that. And then from there, 1, 2, 3, you just are going to push up and then bring your feet up together. And so again, that's just here, holding onto something, hand on the leg, push up from there.
Somer, what would you do differently if you can't kneel on your knee? Would that change how you would do it?
Yeah, so that would definitely complicate things. So either using the other knee, or from there are ways that you can do it. A lot of times it's going to take more kind of using the chair, using a wall. And from there, that's where I would kind of almost like walk down the wall, get to as far as you can squat. If you don't have this available range, getting as low as you can, putting your hand down on the floor and then kind of lowering yourself onto your hip like so. And then same thing, you can kind of then pivot around until you get into that crouch position again. Use a chair here, use a wall, whatever it may be, as you help push yourself up.
And what would you suggest if someone finds themselves, just because I think this is an important topic about balance, like what would you suggest someone finds themselves in the middle of a room and doesn't have a chair or wall or any of that? What would your advice be?
The greatest thing, because a lot of times whenever there are falls, they're obviously unplanned whenever you end up on the ground, is just seeing, is there something close by that you can scoot over to actually. A lot of times we do recommend that people either just scoot on their bottom, or if they flip over onto their hands and knees, if they can kind of like crawl or shimmy over to wherever there might be a chair or bench or something to help you up.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you guys. Okay, we have a couple more. Okay, so what about advice for getting out of bed safely? How would you recommend somebody do that?
Sure. So what you could do for that is, like, let's say you're laying on your back. The first thing you could do is roll to your side. And then once you're rolled over to your side, kind of in like a curled position a little bit, you're going to drop your knees off the bed. And then you're going to use your arm to kind of help push you up. And now you're in the seated position with your knees on the floor. And then from there, that's how you stand up. And another modification that you could use too is if when you need some issues rolling, if you have like a grab bar on the side of your bed, you can pull towards that. And you could even use your arm and the grab bar to stand up or to get sitting.
Awesome. Thank you guys. What would you say so as a caregiver for somebody, how do I know when my, like that person is ready to do these exercises? How do I know how to assess their ability if they are ready, and how much do I help with them to do them? What would you suggest as like from a caregiver perspective?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. As a caregiver, what would you suggest is the best way to know if who you're supporting is ready to do these exercises? Would you suggest to assess something in particular? And then how much help should me as a caregiver give to that person while they're doing the exercises?
That's great. Okay, I can take it from there. And so first thing, so if we were doing any of the exercises that we did today, any of the balance or any of the strength exercises, first thing we want to see is like, okay, can this person, stand up? Can they stand up for a few minutes at a time? And if the answer is no, then I mean, we just want to start off with the basics, get this person standing with handheld support, using however much assistance it is that they need. From there, you want to maximize their independence and then ultimately give the least amount of support required. Standing by and holding on, just in case, but not necessarily holding them up by, either a gait belt or their shorts or something like that to keep them steady. If they have the capability, you want them to be sure that they're using that. So I would start small, and the order that we did both the strengthening and the balance exercises today are going to be in order basically from the easiest to the most challenging. So with everything starting with both hands for support, you're right there with them, hands are on them to support them. And then if that's a piece of cake, then you take away one hand. If that's still too easy, maybe add 2 fingers for support. And from there, no hands at all. And that's just the general progression. And if you start to see that maybe things are getting wobbly, things are unsafe, you don't trust that you could turn around and walk away and they do it perfectly, then okay, maybe they aren't ready for that and they still need that handheld assistance.
Awesome. Thank you. Question that came in is, can you recommend any exercises that are maybe non-weight bearing for people who have difficulty doing some of the more weighted activities? Would any balance or strengthening exercises that you can generally recommend for people?
Sure, yeah, we could do some like sitting in a chair that are really great exercises for strengthening the leg as well. I'm going to go ahead and push my chair back so I can give you a better demonstration as I talk. So here are some for the legs, and like I mentioned earlier, it's just the march, and that's kind of working on strengthening the top part of the legs. Another one that you could do as well is if you just kick your legs straight out, and that's helping to strengthen this muscle right here. And then, like Somer mentioned before, like 3 sets of 10, or even just 10 to start. You can really build up to it. And then what you could also do is seated heel raises. All of that is all strengthening different parts of the leg. So I started with a hip one, and then I worked to do a knee exercise, and then this one's an ankle one. So definitely working all sitting exercises if standing is not the goal right away or still a little challenging for all of that.
Thank you for showing us some new ones. I think too, just to add is that, there's a lot of different varieties on these kinds of exercises that are good for a lot of different people in different ways. And I mean, one of the things that we do as therapists is make sure we're prescribing exactly what's best for that individual. So along with all of these, I think it's important to note that there's much more out there and also ways to make sure that it's right for you. So obviously, if anybody has any more questions, reach out to us. We can give you a more individualized approach for sure. But that's really helpful, guys. You did a really great job of demonstrating all this stuff. Okay, so I mean, that's all we've got for today. It was really great. You guys were such good sports about demonstrating everything. I really loved watching how to do the exercises. I think that was so helpful. So we hope that today's talk was valuable for all of you and that you learned why fall prevention is so important, but also some ways that strength and balance is really important and ways to do it at home. If we didn't get to your question, we'll do our best to reach out to you directly afterward. We're also going to create a handout that we'll send to you with some important facts for you to have as a reference. So as a reminder, your presenters today are Somer Meyers and Becky Insalaco, who are both physical therapists at our Brooklyn Heights office. Feel free to jot down their contact information now so you can reach out to them directly should you have any questions or want to schedule an appointment with any of them. Our Q&A moderator today was Nicole Sirach, who's also at our Brooklyn Heights office, and I'm Lisa Yurs, one of the regional directors at SPEAR. Feel free to reach out to us as well, take down our contact info if you have any questions at all, and we can also help facilitate getting you set up with an appointment with one of our great therapists as well. So at SPEAR, we treat an array of conditions from head to toe, including balance limitations. And as a reminder, we're open for in-person visits as well as for telehealth sessions. Should you feel that you could benefit from any individualized care and guidance treatment, please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us individually, and we'll make sure to personally coordinate getting you set up for an appointment with one of our team members for sure. So lastly, at SPEAR, we're going to be hosting a webinar like this every Thursday evening with a variety of different topics. So for the rest of the year, actually. So we really hope to see you again in the future. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everybody, for spending time with us this afternoon, and we hope you enjoyed our webinar. We wish you guys all the best. Thank you so much. Bye everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.